Hello, I'm Brooke Walker. Every year, some 1,200 refugees come here to Utah seeking a safe and a secure place to live. And with Syria currently experiencing one of the largest refugee flights in current history, a great spotlight has been turned on this very needy population. Now, this is a topic that has sparked political divide, some fears, many questions, and at the heart of it, a great deal of soul searching, really, as our country tries to define the fine line between charity and responsibility. Over the next half hour, we'll take a close look at the programs and the services that stand to serve these refugees. People like you and me who are trying to find their footing here in Utah, trying to find a place to call home.
Are you going to be translating for them?
Yes. Possibly, yes. Or them.
Do we know what country they're coming from? They're coming from Ethiopia.
It's 11:30 at night, and there's an anxious feeling as a group gathers to welcome Utah's newest residents. Finally, after a 17-hour flight, the Tesfaye family arrives. Exhausted.
Hi, what's your name? Renata.
Shell-shocked.
How are you?
But happy.
Okay.
Johannes and his family of 8 are from Eritrea, a country bordering Ethiopia. Last night they went to bed in a refugee camp. Tonight, they will go to bed on American soil.
We were in the camp for 7 years. We had a very nice life in Eritrea. I had a job, I had a car, house.
But war broke out, and all men and teenage boys were required to fight for a political cause they didn't believe in.
That's why we were in exile and ended up in Ethiopia refugee camp. We are happy to have heard the news that we are coming to the United States of America. Finally, we're happy.
We are loaded.
We are.
Tell me what we have here.
Well, we have some fresh bread and we have some items for the kitchen, some dishwasher soap.
Not far away, the Sabimana family has been in Utah for several weeks now. Sammy, Susanna, and their 6 children are learning how to live outside a refugee camp. With the help of their assigned mentor, Deb Coffey, who also happens to be the executive director of the Utah Refugee Center, they are adjusting to everyday basics like running water and beds.
So this is one of our kids' bedrooms. As a mom, you walk in and say, all right, we need some pillows, we need the bedding to be corrected. How do you find your clothes? You know what you're gonna wear, are they clean and ready? And then all of the steps that follow that.
And not just basic information, this is all new information to this family.
Absolutely.
This family's story started in Uganda 7 years ago.
They were just fleeing from war. They happen to come from a tribe that is heavily persecuted in their country.
The persecution turned violent and would ultimately tear the family apart. Their 6-year-old son was murdered, drowned in a community well by members of that rival tribe, a topic too tender for them to even discuss on camera. While Susanna tries to learn how to run a household,
it's a huge difference between where I used to be and here. Now I use in my cooking a stove, which I've never used before. Back home I had to use wood in the fire, and it hurt my eyes. Now I have a machine.
Sammy is focused on providing for his family.
There's a big difference in how we get food on the table. Back home, we had to work hard and do farming. Working back home is very different. We hope we can be successful workers.
Do you know what this is? Cheese?
Cheese.
Yeah.
Helping a refugee family adjust requires more than one mentor can handle alone. For Deb, all it took was a call to her closest group of girlfriends. Bedding arrived. Personal touches were put into place. All elements, Deb says, will help the Sabimana family see their potential. But what they're already feeling? Love.
I'm still amazed, and I pray to see God to bless you. Bless you, because I don't have anything else to offer. I'm just overwhelmed. I've learned there's a true love here. I never found that love in Africa.
starting a new life with no more than a suitcase and a dream. It's hard to imagine, but refugees do it every day. But it takes more than a dream to be successful. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of faith, and the right opportunity. Up next, New Land, New Language, the unique program giving refugees a leg up, plus the classroom connection, how Utah teachers are making it work.
We're asking teachers to work miracles. And I look at them with a straight face and say, yeah, we have to work a miracle every single day.
Reading, writing, and ESL. For refugee families, the work to learn a new language begins almost immediately with complete immersion. Refugees arrive, many of them speaking 3, even 4 languages, but very few speak English. So it's up to teachers, mentors, and volunteers to give the gift of communication.
What's your teacher's name? Miss Kendall? Awesome. Is she nice? Yes?
If you look around our school, we have flags from all of the countries represented. And I honestly lose count because there are so many and we try to add them as quickly as we can. We're around 50 countries. So
in one school.
Mm-hmm. And in one classroom, you're 25, 30 languages.
So I'm gonna do 7 times 1/4.
So here you have a teacher who is already working with 25 plus students, and you have someone brand new coming in. It's not that the teacher doesn't want to work with that student, it's just what resources or who else can help the teacher so that either free up her time or someone else can come in and help facilitate the learning of very basic things.
We don't know from one day to the next if a given child will be with us. For example, by Christmas, we had about 200 students who had checked out and then another 200 who had checked in.
And that mobility factor, the constant change, can cause an otherwise willing student to feel anxious about learning, something Lincoln Elementary School teachers deal with daily.
Stability is really important, and so are the relationships with an adult, a caring person. And so when you don't know what to expect, it really creates a lot of anxiety, and it's hard to really be able to sit down and learn. We have a lot of kids who experience some trauma with that. They don't know where they fit.
Sign page 29.
To help bridge that gap between the journey from a camp to a classroom, a school within a school is held at Granite Park Junior High. It's called the Tumaini Center, which is the Swahili word for hope.
We expose them, of course, to the English language, but also in context of what they're going to need to learn as they go into this new school setting.
With very limited English.
Is me.
And very little support at home.
Cats.
Refugee children are enrolled in public schools, and it's now up to their teachers to pick up where the Welcome Center left off.
I'm gonna interpret the information I have so it's organized.
Our teachers and our staff of teachers are people who have chosen to be at my school.
Raise your hand if you remember what those words mean, Maya Lisa.
I asked my teachers that, was it a good day? And how do you know it was a good day? Well, I made a connection with somebody, and I had a small breakthrough, whether that's in behavior or some small reading achievement.
When you think of where the kids came and the trauma they went through just to get here, and we're receiving the best of the best, because even to get out of the camps, many of them have been born and raised in the camps, and when they finally get here, they've been through so much. So I think it's morally and ethically what we need to do is to welcome them and do whatever we can.
We also need the community because we can't do it all. We're asking teachers to work miracles. And I look at them with a straight face and say, yeah, we have to work a miracle every single day. It's a miraculous thing to see a child go from coming to this country and then speaking basic English 2 or 3 months later.
Can it fit the bat?
Are you ready? Okay, the first one is separating. You got it, sit down.
Learning English for adult refugees can be more challenging.
It's an amazing program, nationally recognized out at the Humanitarian Center.
The Latter-day Saint Humanitarian Center, operated by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, offers the chance to be self-sufficient. While rebuilding their lives, refugees are participating in a program so unique, it doesn't fit any business model.
What's actually happening is they have a place to learn and to grow, but they're also being paid their salary while they teach English.
All thanks to a partnership between the LDS Church and the Granite School District.
We take about 150 refugees each year. They are receiving 4 hours of ESL instruction and then 4 hours of job training.
If you've worked 8 hours a day and you go home and you don't have childcare, your transportation might be difficult, you're tired, you've got all kinds of stresses, it's very difficult to say, oh yes, and I'm going to also go study English. People do it, but it's much harder to be successful.
Tal, taller, tallest.
I think that we have amazing relationships between the school district and our resettlement partners and all of the supporting service agencies out there. One of the amazing binding factors is that we all truly love refugees. I mean, it is the glue that binds us all.
It's more expensive than car.
It's so easy, and quite frankly, it's so Christ-like to be able to step up and serve these people that need us.
Mentors like Deb say integrating refugees into the community starts as soon as they arrive, with something as simple as a smile or a helping hand. That warm welcome is the ideal, but what's the reality? Are there safety concerns? Who pays? And are refugees taking away from already scarce resources? We'll explore those questions coming up next. Welcome back. It's been said over and over that the refugees coming to the United States are the best of the best. They are educated, they're employable, and they are determined to find a place to call home. But before they can build that dream, they must leave behind a life where death, murder, and human cruelty are the norm.
I came to the United States back in 1994. I was the first Somali refugee family who settled through Catholic Community Services back then. It was in early 1990 when the civil war broke Somalia. We didn't know where to go, and so we were hiding place to place in our own country until almost 1992 when we lost one of our child, and I had to leave the country.
As the Director of Refugee Resettlement for Catholic Community Services, Aidan Batar understands in ways most of us can't comprehend how the thousands of refugees fleeing their own countries feel.
It was very difficult. You left your families behind, you left your friends behind. You see that family members, friends being killed in front of you. That was very, very difficult. I did not hesitate to leave.
The United States welcomes between 70 and 85,000 refugees as part of the National Resettlement Project. Of those who come, about 1,200 are sent to Utah.
I think there's always a little bit of fear of the unknown. You wonder what we're getting. Those on the refugee program, for example, are vetted at nearly 2 years on average before they come to Utah. There's a federal vetting. There's also a vetting when they come here to Utah when we greet with them.
The federal government financially supports refugees for the first 90 days through loans for rental deposits and utilities. In Utah, private donors and foundations make it possible to help support refugees longer.
Between the government funding and the foundation money that we receive, it all goes to help the refugees until they are, stand on their feet, which normally is 6 months.
Sorting clothing is really just an excuse to have something meaningful to do.
The LDS Humanitarian Center takes excess clothing, donated through Deseret Industries, and has refugees sort it before it's shipped to various parts of the world to further help those in need. It's a lot of clothes. It's a lot of clothes.
Once we know what they really want to do, then we work with the Plight Technology Center or other places where they can go get additional training. We help fund that additional training.
Every year, more than 100 refugees move from the Humanitarian Center into new jobs with the ability to be self-reliant.
I start my business about 3 years ago. I bring the idea to Salt Lake City, bring the experience of this food, the food I grow up with.
Isan was born in Iraq, but escaped to Syria before coming to Utah in 2009. What could we do better to help refugees?
That's a hard question.
Yeah.
Just give them more opportunities I mean, for work and go to school. And
do you feel lucky?
Yeah, I am lucky to be successful like this now. I am happy.
Stories like Batar and Isan's are not unique. There are successful refugees all over the country, but the current political climate is not necessarily welcoming for refugees seeking that same kind of opportunity.
We're going to have borders. We're going to have a country again. Right now, we don't have a country. People are coming in, pouring in.
I was disappointed. I think sometimes the political rhetoric is designed for politics and not for good policy. In the quiet of the day, though, we ought to think deeply about this issue and what it is that we want to represent as a nation and as a state.
I think people have no idea what refugees go through. If people would have known that, just one day's refugee life, I don't think they would have said those things.
These are people that just want an opportunity. They recognize that they don't get guarantees for success, but they recognize that America stands as a land of opportunity.
It's important for us to remember that as LDS people, we were refugees ourselves. The church feels like it has a scriptural and a prophetic mandate to care for the poor and the needy. This is Matthew 25, to care for the people who need it. We feel like we're under covenant to reach out to people.
People have been killed. People have been forced to flee. People lost their family members. There's a lot of children who lost their parents. Where will they go? If we don't step up and don't help them, the evil is going to win.
Fighting the evil of the world, one person, one family at a time. It's something Batar feels we all can do, simply by connecting with these refugees. Coming up, how Utahns are making sure teen refugees aren't forgotten in their search for a place to call home.
So when we put them in a really positive mentoring atmosphere, the American teens and the refugee teens, they just bring the best out of each other. It's really beautiful to see it from both sides.
A new refugee has a lot to learn. We've seen how challenging it is to settle in an American home, to learn the language, to find work and make a living. For teenage refugees between the ages of 12 and 18 especially, there is also the pressure to fit in, to be liked, to make friends, and to feel comfortable in a culture that is completely different from all they know.
This is the American way to eat your spaghetti. And you try this while I do it.
Pull up a seat at this dinner table.
So good, so good. Lots of times when people eat spaghetti with really good etiquette, they use a spoon.
Like this, right? You go like this? You go like this? I don't want to eat that. It's very good. I like it.
And you'll quickly see that a fork and knife can be powerful teaching tools.
Then with your fork, you're supposed to be able to spin them around.
I don't need to. Good job.
And then you lift it up to your mouth with your fork upside down.
Helping these teenage refugees grasp a whole new set of customs in a whole new culture.
Good.
They're hungry to succeed.
Justin Powell is the program director of Real Life, a teen refugee mentoring program. In addition to offering after-school services, including homework help, the Real Life program provides the curriculum and the volunteers to help teenage refugees better prepare for life before and after high school. It's a program that helps fill the big gap between elementary school and adulthood.
We wanted to use other teens to be their inspiration.
The Real Life program started in 2010 with just one center. It's now expanded to 8 operating centers statewide.
Teens, just by the nature of where they are in their development, are highly concerned about the social constructs and what their peers think. It's really beautiful to see it from both sides. So the refugee teens being inspired by the mainstream teen, but also the mainstream teens going, wow, my bubble just burst and I can see there's so much good right here in my community that maybe was invisible to me before.
Today you will be served a delicious 3-course Italian-style meal.
In addition to educational support, the refugees participate in field trips and activities like this etiquette dinner, where a plate of salad becomes a fun and a safe way to get a taste of American culture. With peer mentors at their side, they've been bowling, rock climbing, even snowshoeing, a first-of-its-kind experience for many refugees, one that teaches them they can conquer these new elements.
When they see that there are Americans that are wanting to help them succeed, that sends a really powerful message to them that, wow, I'm valued, people care about me, and that's going to matter when they're then making decisions.
People saying, well, what can I do to help? So our suggestion has been, you know, we welcome volunteers in our classrooms. The other things too, like donating whatever they have as far as clothing items or even school supplies.
When you're serving thousands of people that are really living on a minimum wage job, and anything that sort of falls outside of the support, the minimal support that they get, they really need these simple things like shampoo and conditioner and laundry soap. If everybody just does a tiny bit, then collectively we all of a sudden have something that we can offer up.
The first day they come here, they ask us is, when can I start working? We have a handful of employers right now that we work with that willing to give opportunity to the refugees, but we need more.
Become more like a friend to the people that are resettling here. So often we kind of get caught up in our own little world, and that's totally normal and fine, but it would be really beautiful to see on a larger scale people interacting more in the same community with each other.
Put your arms around them, be friends with them, and give them the kind of human interaction that people need so that they can thrive.